My daughter told her friend she finally replaced me with her stepdad, so I stopped paying for her wedding and sent them both a spreadsheet labeled replacement cost. The venue called her first. Hello everyone, welcome to Reddit Visuals. You ever realize how some people can look you in the eye, take everything you've built for them, and still convince themselves you're the villain? I learned that lesson the hard way the day I stopped being a father and became a footnote in someone else's story. I'm Robert, 56, and I raised my daughter Emily mostly on my own after her mother Lisa and I divorced when Emily was 10. Lisa remarried 5 years later to a guy named Brad, the kind of man who talked big about business deals and connections but somehow always needed to borrow money. Still, I didn't interfere. I wanted Emily to have peace, not a war between her parents. Emily and I were close through her teenage years. Every Friday I'd pick her up, grab her favorite sushi, and we'd drive to the lake. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. She'd tell me about her week, her worries, her dreams. I thought I was her safe place. When she went to college, I paid her tuition outright. No loans. I told her, "Your job is to build a life you're proud of. My job is to make sure debt isn't holding you back." She hugged me so tight I thought I'd done something right as a dad. But somewhere during her junior year, things shifted. She started mentioning Brad more, how he helped with her resume, gave her career advice, how he was the kind of dad every girl needs. I brushed it off. People grow, families evolve. But Brad wasn't just another figure in her life, he was being rewritten as the main character. Last year, Emily got engaged to her boyfriend Mark. She called me crying happy tears, showing off her ring on FaceTime. I was genuinely thrilled. Mark seemed solid, quiet, kind, worked as an architect. I told Emily I'd handle the wedding expenses, venue, dress, catering, the whole thing. She said, "Dad, that's so much." I said, "You only get married once. Let me do this." Over 6 months, I paid deposits and installments. Venue deposit, $8,500. Photographer, $3,200. Caterer down payment, $6,800. Florist, $2,400. Band deposit, $2,100. Dress and alterations, $4,200. By the time we were 2 months out, I'd spent about $31,000 with another $15,000 in final payments coming due. Every payment got a text from Emily, usually just a heart emoji or "Thanks, Dad." Not much, but I wasn't doing it for applause. Then one afternoon, my friend Jack called. He's friends with Emily's maid of honor's husband. "Hey man, I need to tell you something," he said carefully. "I was at a barbecue yesterday. Emily's maid of honor was there talking about the wedding. She said something that you should know about." My stomach dropped. "What?" "She said at Emily's bachelorette party last weekend, someone asked about you walking her down the aisle. Emily laughed and said, 'Oh, Dad's just the bank. Brad's my real father now. I finally replaced the old model.'" He paused. A bunch of people laughed. "I'm sorry, man." I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, feeling like I'd been punched. "You sure she said that?" "I'm sure. I wouldn't tell you if I wasn't." I thanked him and hung up. I sat in my truck in a parking lot for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. The words kept looping. Finally replaced the old model. 2 days later, I had a meeting at the venue to finalize some details. The coordinator greeted me warmly. "You must be Brad. We've been emailing back and forth so much. It's wonderful to finally meet Emily's father." I went cold. "I'm not Brad. I'm Robert, Emily's father." Her smile faltered. "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just that Brad's been handling all the vendor coordination emails, so I assumed Dot." "He's her stepfather," I said quietly. "I'm the one paying for everything." She looked mortified. "Of course." I apologized for the confusion. I left without signing off on the final details. I sat in my truck again, hands gripping the steering wheel. That's when something inside me went quiet. Not angry, just cold and clear. I didn't call Emily. I didn't confront Brad. I went home, opened my computer, and pulled up every receipt, every contract, every payment confirmation. I created a spreadsheet, line by line. Venue, photographer, caterer, florist, band, dress, invitations, everything. Total paid. $31,247. Total remaining, $14,680. Grand total, $45,927. Then I called my lawyer. I've been paying for my daughter's wedding. I want to stop. What are my options? He explained that deposits were likely non-refundable, but I could stop future payments immediately. Vendors would then contact the bride and groom directly for payment. You'll lose the deposits, he said, probably around $10,000 total. Can you live with that? Yeah, I said. I can live with it. I sent emails to every vendor. I'm withdrawing as financial guarantor for this event effective immediately. Please contact the bride and groom directly for all future payments. I included Emily and Mark in the CC line. Then I created a document. Not an invoice, just a spreadsheet titled Replacement Cost Analysis. It listed every payment I'd made, marked each as paid in full by original father, and at the bottom, remaining balance, $14,680. Recommended. Contact Brad, last name, self-identified, real father. I emailed it to Emily with the subject line, Updated Financial Summary. Within an hour, my phone exploded. Emily called 4 times. I didn't answer. She texted, Dad, what is happening? The venue just called saying you withdrew payment. We owe them $12,000 in 2 weeks. I texted back, you should contact Brad. I'm sure your real father will handle it. My phone rang again. This time, Brad, I answered. Robert, what the hell are you doing? You're sabotaging your daughter's wedding. I'm not sabotaging anything, I said calmly. I'm just stepping back. You're her real father now, right? Time to step up. Silence. Then, she didn't mean that. She was just talking. Then she should have talked to me. Instead, I heard it from a friend who heard it at a party. He tried a different approach. Look, I don't have that kind of money right now. Then I guess she'll have to figure it out, like adults do. I hung up. Over the next 3 days, the calls kept coming. Emily, desperate. Mark, confused and angry. Lisa, Emily's mother, yelling about how I was destroying her daughter's happiness. I didn't engage. A week later, Emily showed up at my house. Her eyes were red, her voice shaking. Dad, please. The vendors are all threatening to cancel. We can't come up with $15,000 in 2 weeks. You're really going to let my wedding fall apart over something I said at a party? I looked at her. It's not about what you said at a party, Emily. It's about what you actually think. You called me the bank. You called Brad your real father. You let him play father of the bride while I paid the bills. Did you think I wouldn't find out? She looked at the floor. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. Yes, you did. You meant every word. You just didn't think it would cost you anything. Tears streamed down her face. So you're just going to abandon me? I'm not abandoning you. I'm letting you and your real father handle it. Isn't that what you wanted? She left sobbing. I closed the door and stood there, feeling hollowed out but strangely steady. 2 weeks later, I heard through Jack that the wedding had been postponed. Apparently, Brad managed to scrape together about $6,000. Mark's parents contributed $4,000, but they couldn't cover everything. Vendors backed out. The venue released their date to another couple. The whole thing collapsed. A few days after that, Emily posted on Facebook something about learning who really has your back when things get hard, and realizing some people use love as leverage. I didn't comment. I didn't even screenshot it. I just sat with the ache in my chest and wondered when I'd stopped being her dad and started being her ATM. 5 weeks after everything fell apart, a letter arrived at my office. Handwritten. Emily's handwriting. Dad, I need to tell you something I should have said a long time ago. I was showing off. I wanted people to think I had this perfect blended family, and I convinced myself that pushing you aside made me look mature. But the truth is, Brad was fun when things were easy. You were the one who showed up when things were hard. You paid for my education so I wouldn't be buried in debt. You were at every recital, every game, every late-night phone call when I was scared. And I repaid you by calling you replaceable. I'm so sorry. I don't know if you can forgive me, but I needed you to know that I finally understand what I lost. I read it 3 times. I didn't cry, but something in my chest loosened. I didn't call her right away. I needed time. But 2 weeks later, I texted her. "Lunch by the lake? Friday?" She replied immediately, "Yes, please." When she arrived, she looked different, smaller, humbler. We sat by the water where we used to sit when she was in high school. She didn't make excuses. She just said, "I called off the engagement." I looked at her, surprised. "Why?" "Because Mark asked me if I'd even want to marry him if Brad wasn't there to walk me down the aisle. And I realized I'd built this whole fantasy about what family should look like, and I'd hurt the people who actually loved me, including him." She wiped her eyes. "I wasn't ready to be anyone's wife. I need to figure out who I am first." We sat in silence for a while. Then she said, "I don't expect you to pay for another wedding someday. I don't expect anything. I just want my dad back." I reached over and squeezed her hand. "I'm right here." She cried then, the kind of crying that sounds like relief. We didn't fix everything that day, but we started. Now, 6 months later, we have lunch every other week. She got a job in marketing, moved into her own apartment, pays her own bills. Brad's still in her life, but the hero worship is gone. She calls him Brad now, not Dad, and when she introduces me to people, she says, "This is my father." That's all I needed to hear. So here's my question for you. Was I wrong to stop paying and let her wedding fall apart? Should I have swallowed the hurt and kept funding everything for the sake of peace? Or was stepping back the only way she'd learn what respect actually costs? Let me know in the comments what you think. If this story made you think about boundaries and what we owe the people who take us for granted, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps the channel grow and brings more real stories about family, respect, and knowing your worth. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.